Friends in Recovery, the Addiction Recovery Podcast, is brought to you by the Friends in Recovery community, a thriving network of individuals who are fighting back against the stigma of addiction. Join our hosts as they speak up about the real issues of addiction, treatment, and recovery. Friends in Recovery, the Addiction Recovery Podcast, is available on Facebook, Podbean, iTunes, and YouTube 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Now, here are your Friends in Recovery.
Welcome, everyone, to the Friends in Recovery podcast with Jersey Ed, and I'm Jersey Ed, guys. I have my co-host, Buckeye, Bambi, and Super Beth. Hello, ladies. How are you? Welcome to the dating game show, Beth. We have Rob Hooper joining us today. Hey, Rob, how you doing? Welcome to the show. Thanks. I know you watch it 1,000 times, but you've never been a guest on here, correct?
I have not.
Were you ever a guest on the dating game either?
Actually, I was too young.
Good answer.
It looked like a lot of fun, though.
It did. What was the one where they making whoopee? What show was that? The dating game?
Oh, yeah, so right. Making whoopee. Remember that? Making
whoopee. So you never got asked that question then, Rob.
This is the first.
All right. Well, I promise I won't ask it on here. Okay. Oh, guys. So let's see. Let's get right to the hearts. As you guys can see, there's some hearts on our screen that will be here for a while now. Beth is orange. Let's see a bunch of orange hearts for Beth, guys, in the comments below. Bambi is purple. There's a purple hearts. Rob is going to follow up with a yellow heart for today. Look at his back wall there. If you're watching us on YouTube, he has a yellow back wall there. And let's give Rob some hearts to show him some love. He will be joining us. I'll go in a little bit more on that later, but he'll be joining us quite frequently now. And I am a blue heart. Bambi won the heart contest last week, guys. I mean, every week.
Always wins.
I know. Beth, you lost.
I have faithful
is that right?
I am a loser. Thank you.
Even the Podfather got a heart last week or the week before. Mm-hmm. Guys, let's show.
Start buying hearts.
Let's buying hearts. Let's show Super Beth some love here. Give her an orange heart. So, and if you want to talk to Super Beth, you can call her at 800-989-6504. That is our hotline. And that's if you want to talk about recovery, if you want to talk about getting help, whatever it is, you can call us on that phone number. Also, you can email us help@friendsinrecoverypodcast.com. And our website is being built, guys. I know when everybody was going on it, there was a lot of Latin in there. There's a lot of different things, but we actually took on somebody to build the website. So check the website out, friendsinrecoverycommunity.org. Let us know what you think about it. If you'd like to get a hold of us, each one of us directly, we now have, as you guys know, some email addresses. Bambi is buckeyebambi22@gmail.com. If you want to get a hold of Super Beth, she is superbeth22@gmail.com. And Jersey Ed, if you want to get a hold of me, no, that's not what you're thinking. It's not that. It's Jersey Ed 2018@gmail.com. I had to be different. Sorry.
So
guys.
much.
Oh, God. So if you want to get a hold of us to send us an email. I know I've been getting so many emails, ladies, that I can't even keep up with them. So eventually I will get back to you. No, I haven't got that many emails. I haven't gotten one yet.
I was going to be like, maybe I should check my email. Nobody's going to email it.
No, nobody's emailing us. So I can't even get my cousin Jordan to email me. Bambi, can you ask Jordan to email you and see what happens?
Yes. Jordan, will you email me?
You know, he's going to do it now because
she is going to do it. I know. That's sad. So I'd like to thank all our donors who made this show possible. To make a donation, please go to Venmo under business, and it's at Friends in Recovery Enterprises. That's under business. Cash App is another way. $ Friends in Recovery, or send that snail mail to Friends in Recovery Enterprises, P.O. Box 1551, Johns Island, South Carolina 294 457. And guys, your donations keep the show going. So we really appreciate all those donations that you make. It's really, really important. And guys, Friends in Recovery is now part of the Fire Network. If you want to see what that's about, go to friendsinrecoverycommunity.org, and there is a section that is being put up for the Fire Network. Basically, it's just a bunch of podcasters. Anybody who's a creative type person can put their stuff up there for free, and we will house it in Friends in Recovery's website, so we can have other people kind of explore different avenues out there. So, Carl from Soberpod was a big advocate of doing this for us, and so thank you, Carl. So this week's show and topic, our guest is going to be Rob Hooper. Welcome, Rob, and he's going to talk about the spiritual principles on step 1, 2, and 3. Rob is going to be back every quarter to talk about the spiritual principles on each step, each quarter. So stay tuned for some amazing recovery. We'll get to Rob in a minute. Do we have any shout outs, ladies? Does anybody have any shout outs?
I have a shout out.
Shout it out.
I want to give a shout out to my friend Steph Davis. She has been helping.
Oh, you
people.
can't mention anybody's last name on this show.
Oops.
No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, help.
I figured I'd mess with you, Beth. You were late to the show. You have a dating game background, so
I don't need it. I don't need a cortisol dump this morning. Thank you. Anyway, Steph D is this amazing human being, and she helps so many people. She's been doing this for 18, 19 years, and I don't know. She's just been in my thoughts lately, and I know that she's always on Facebook. So I just wanted to make sure that she feels the love, because she deserves it.
All right, Steph D, welcome. Does she listen?
She's gonna.
If she listens, she'd tell her to give you some orange hearts.
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
Steph, give me some orange hearts.
Send them, Steph. Send them. Bambi, what about you? Any
I
shout
have
outs?
one sober shout out. One of our Friends in Recovery community people, Michael G, has a year.
Oh, Mike, that's right. 1 year, Mike. Congratulations on 1 year. Congratulations.
Woo!
And Rob, do you have a sober shout out or any shout out?
Actually, I do have a sober shout
Okay.
out. Mary A celebrated 31 years.
Wow.
On Thursday. Yeah.
Mary A,
She's
31.
Yeah.
Wow.
31.
The great
And
year.
and she's only 22 years old. That's amazing.
Only 23.
Oh, 23. I'm sorry. I had that a little off. So Mary A, congratulations on your 31 years. That's wonderful. And I got my standard shout out because it's Carl from Soberpod, of course. Guys, listen to Soberpod. Those guys are amazing show over there. Go check out his website too. He's doing this new thing, 366 effing days of something or another. It's a book that he just wrote, and he's promoting it. Please check it out on his website. Carl, if you want to flash a picture of it right here, you can do that. We'll allow that
until he gives me some fireworks.
Fireworks.
Ed.
Yeah, insert fireworks here for Bambi. Okay, good. Quick meeting update. Don't forget, we have twice daily AA meetings on Zoom. You can find them on our website, friendsinrecoverycommunity.org, under meetings, or just go to the AA intergroup and you can find us there, noon and 7 p.m. daily. That's Eastern time. Look for us on social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Telegram, and Friends in Recovery. Look for Friends in Recovery communities and adventures. We have an adventure coming up very soon, guys. I'm going to just make a quick announcement about that. February 10th through the 12th, we're doing a camping trip. We have a couple spots left, so if you're interested, just grab one of our emails and ask whatever if you want to come. It's going to be in New Jersey. So if you're in New Jersey and you're listening to this, you're more than welcome to come. But we have 3 women's spots open, and that is it right at this point. But we are doing a fireside meeting on the 11th, Saturday the 11th at 8:15 or 8 o'clock. 8:15. And that's a donation meeting. That is a 12-step meeting. So all is welcome from NAAA, whatever A you're celebrating. We'd love to have you come on that. It's a special password and ID. So the $25 donation you can send, through Venmo or whatever. But make sure you add campfire meeting so we can get you out the code. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and comment below, guys. Hearts, whatever. Bambi's getting a lot of hearts down there. Comment below. Give us a 5-star review. That is important to push this show out and get people to know who we are and get the help out there, because we are helping people, guys. I can tell you that 100% hands down. We are helping people, and that's the idea of this show. So here it is, guys.
Question of the week.
Question of the week. All right. I'm going to throw this one at Rob first. Okay. Because he's our guest, and we're not nice people, but let's pretend to be nice, because we all like Rob. So
We love Rob.
I know we love Rob. It's a short, easy, quick question. Ladies and Rob, you can answer it yes or no. You can give us a little explanation what you think about it. On Facebook Live, please, yes or no, and an explanation if you want. Very simple, very easy. Do you believe in heaven, Rob?
So thank you for asking that question. And I don't feel like you're giving me the love because you asked me as the guest first to answer the question. But yes, I do believe in heaven. And for me, it was really based on how I was raised. And at the end of the day, even as an adult, I figure, okay, what if there's not a heaven? All right. But what if there is a heaven? So my thing is, it's not so much about believing in, this place that I'm going to go to, but how can I create heaven here? So if there is a heaven, man, it's really going to be awesome when I get there.
Love it.
So yes, I do believe there's a heaven.
All right. That's a yes. One yes.
There is a yes.
I'm scared to ask Beth. So Bambi, you go.
Okay, I'll go. All right. So I definitely believe that there is a heaven, and probably also the way I was brought up. My mom was very, spiritual and religious, and so I was raised with that. But I have my own idea of heaven, and I guess that's why I want to live each day to my fullest so I can get there, because I feel like I'm going to be surrounded by all my loved ones and the people that I've lost that I know are up there waiting for me. And in my heaven, your animals are there too. So, y'all, I had my first pug was Brutus Buckeye. Can you imagine someone from Ohio having a dog named Brutus? So I can wait, but I'll be anxious. I'm looking forward to seeing him when I get to heaven, as well as my mama and daddy and my brother. So.
All right. So that's another yes. And Beth, I was just kidding. I know you believe in heaven. I think. I don't know. Let's see. What's your answer?
Were scared.
So we got 2. Can we make it 3? For yes?
So I vacillate. I definitely vacillate. I believe in the spirit of the universe. I believe that all molecules have God in them, and I believe in God. But I want to subscribe to Bambi's version of heaven. I miss my dad. And I've had so many animals that if they're all there, but I got to tell you, I would really, I do believe in heaven, and I believe that it's quiet, and I can't wait to get there.
So that's 3 yeses. So, yes, guys, I believe in heaven too.
I thought you were going to break the trend.
No. I mean, I don't know what it looks like. I mean, we can read it in books and listen to people what their versions are. But I think I think what you just said, Beth, it's quiet, right? It's peaceful. There's going to be, people there that I know, I guess. I mean, I don't know. But Rob, I'm on the same plane you are. I don't know if there's a heaven or not, but I'm going to live my life like there is, right? I'm going to live my life like I'm a good person, as best as I can be on given days, but because if there is, then I'm going to get in, And that's the whole key to it. And if there isn't, that's okay. I was nice to all the human beings on the earth and made me feel good while I was here. So, but yeah, I believe in heaven too. So what you guys comment below? What's your beliefs? And it's okay if you say no, really, it really is. It's your choice. You know, we're not here to judge anybody. I like also what you said, Super Beth, about, you know, there's a spirit. There might be a place our spirits go. It might not be heaven to some people. It might just be a spiritual area or a spiritual connection, whatever it is. You know, the doggy's up on the screen. So we have a bunch of, let's see, Sally says, yes, absolutely. I believe all of us and this world is connected out for a purpose. We're all intertwined. We are created to love, be loved, and always transfer love through all existence.
I love that.
I love it too.
I love that.
So yes, so good. Another one for the yes category. So, but yeah, keep putting your comments there real quick before we bring Rob on the spiritual principles in step 1, 2, and 3. Thank you everybody for these hearts in here. I love it. Stacy, Sally, Tony, who else? Matt gave his wife tons of hearts. And we
that's why she wins.
That's right. We appreciate it on Facebook Live. More importantly, you go to the comments below because that's where they count, guys. Give them to us on Facebook Live, on YouTube. Give us the, you know, on there. So when this show comes out, make sure you guys do that. So, okay, guys. So we're going to talk about step 1, 2, and 3 in the spiritual principles. Rob Hooper's a good friend of ours. I've known Rob probably for the last 17 years, give or take. Him and I had the pleasure to work together for probably 17 years. That's how I know Rob. And about a year ago, I went down to the place he's working at now, and I spoke to him, and I sat in one of his groups, and he gave me this worksheet, spiritual principles, right? And I listen, you guys know I'm in recovery. I had no idea what spiritual principles. I'm just trying to get by. You know, I'm trying to run 10 miles and feed my family and take care of 5 dogs. Spiritual principles, really? Come on. That's too much work for me at this point. You want me to do all the steps and then figure out what the spiritual principles are? Whatever. But as we got into it, as I sat in his group and I learned what these spiritual principles do for us and how they coincide with each step. And plus we did all the steps last year. We needed something to talk about on top of just talking about each step every week. These did definitely come in handy. And Rob, you know, I thank you for that wonderful, and I know you do that probably on a weekly basis, your group down there, and talk about spiritual principles. I know, or you add them into your life, I'm guessing, you know. So that's why Rob is here with us. He'll be on once a quarter, and he'll talk about all the spiritual principles. So we're going to talk about step 1, 2, and 3. We're going to kind of go over what the spiritual principles are. And Rob, since you're so organized and you know exactly what you're doing and we don't, I'm going to just turn the meeting over to you, and you ask us the questions and we'll answer them for you.
You know, this. I actually had started out with some questions, but I said, put them away. Let's just go into it. So,
and now your host, Rob Hooper.
All right. Well, thank you. Ed, Bambi, Beth, thank you guys for having me here. And believe me, whatever I say, it's not original. All right. I learned from other folks that came before me. So I first want to thank all of the predecessors that came before me. I'm a recovering addict. My name is Rob. And I often say I'm alive and clean by God's grace, because I know it really was not me. And so I used until I couldn't use anymore. I used to tell people that I came to recovery because the pain got so great. No, I didn't. I ended up coming to recovery because my job was on the line. They said, either you go get some help or you're going to have to find another place to go. So I was really looking to save my face. What I didn't realize, that would be the story of my life after doing some step work, that I always was looking to present a certain way. So when I came here and they started talking about the steps, much like Ed, I was like, the steps, what is this for? You know, I I just want to stop smoking crack and blackout drinking. That's all I want. You mean, I got to work steps too. So I really didn't understand fully, to some degree, I had been exposed to it in the past, but it didn't seem to work because I'm not one of those one white key tag wonders. It took me 7 years before I finally surrendered. So, when we talk about step one, and I'm going to be making reference to some material from the It Works How and Why from the NA book.
Okay.
I do NA, but you know what? Don't tell anybody. Sometimes I go to AA meetings too.
Shh, nobody will know. I think we have 3 listeners anyway. So.
Wherever you're going, the idea for me is, I get the help that I need. And sometimes I don't know where that help is going to come from.
Yeah.
So we admitted we were powerless over our addiction or alcoholism, and that our lives had become unmanageable. And so, I came into this really not knowing how wounded, how broken, actually how lost I was. Again, you're talking about me performing all of my life. So it was really about looking good. So it wasn't until I got into step one and started looking at this idea of powerlessness. And I even jotted down some notes. So, I'll refer to them and then the literature. And so with powerlessness, now you want me to admit giving up control. And I really wasn't sure I wanted to do that. What I did know, I was real clear that I was hurting really bad and I needed to do something different. So I became somewhat open to the idea of giving up control. So let's go to work, they tell me.
That's it.
The deal is I've been in denial for most of my life and I didn't even know. They have this cute little acronym, don't even know I'm lying. So I didn't realize I was lying to myself for so long. So when we talk about step one and the spiritual principle is honesty. So now we're talking about me getting honest about the fact that look over your life, Rob. When have you been able to use for any consistent amount of time and not hurt people or yourself? And when I really looked at that, I couldn't say, hey, well, here or here or here. So in the beginning, yeah, it was fun, but at the end, no fun. And my definition of fun needed to change.
Yeah.
So, when I look at the step work process, believe me, I truly am convinced this is a divine process. Call it whatever you want to call it, but it is truly divine because it's causing me to change the way I look at life. And so now it's not about powerlessness, looking at, the idea of that as me being weak, but all of a sudden getting honest. When I drink, when I drug, all power, all control, all sense of being able to connect with myself and people, that's gone. That's out the window.
Rob, real quick, I want to just throw this in there. Isn't it amazing? The first step is where we admitted we were powerless over alcohol or drugs and our lives have become unmanageable. And honesty is the spiritual principle behind it. Because think about it. That is something that I know I never did, was being honest when I was using. And so I had to be honest and stop something, like give up control, like you said, stop something. The very first step, like, didn't ease me into it. It wasn't like on the back end, on the back, the back 6, maybe it should have been step 6. No, I mean, isn't it amazing that it's just the first step and it just clears it? I mean, what's your thoughts on it? Does it clear out a lot of things that helps us move on to step 2 and step 3? I mean, what's your thoughts on that?
So I'm glad you put it that way, because with step 1, first, I'm getting honest about the fact that I'm not able to use. What this step also introduces me to is that there's different forms of honesty, so I can lie, I can outright just lie, and I can lie by omission. So in other words, I'm holding something back. So it may be plausible, but it's not really true. So step 1 is setting me up to really take a look at a deeper level of how I manipulate, because I want to be either perceived a certain way, or I want you to see something the way I want you to see it. So with step one, when we talk about honesty, the first part is like, listen, I'm not able to use successfully. My life became unmanageable. Now it's challenging me to take a look at honesty on a deeper level about how I will embellish in a story and make it seem a certain way when it's really not. So now when I'm looking at honesty, I'm looking at the masks that I wear because I want you to see me a certain way. So for me, honesty is really initially wanting me to say, hey, you're not able to use, successfully. What else are you lying about, Rob? How else do you lie to yourself? Because for me as a little boy, I was scared and I wasn't sure what to, do because I saw so much going on with my family that I was figuring things out on my own. So if I thought me smiling would make you happy, I was going to smile. I didn't realize I was being dishonest by smiling when I was really hurting or really scared. So doing this first step really got me in touch with that and catapulted me out of this denial.
But that was our whole life. Well, I shouldn't say ours. I'm speaking for myself. That was my whole life, was the lying and the dishonesty, and even not holding things back. How do we jump into step one? I mean, it's easy. It's easy to know that you have to admit you're powerless over alcohol and your life has become manageable. Basically, I'm going to stop drinking, right? And people can know that, or using drugs. People know that by if I'm high or if I'm not, or whatever. But the honesty part is, do you feel that that's harder to me? It would be harder to be honest at that point than it would be to stop the use of the drugs. Have you seen that? Like the honesty have a hard time kicking in?
So, you're almost going to have me, put my toe in step two.
Okay.
So the honesty did seem hard because I wasn't sure if I could trust, if I'm open with letting you know who I really am, if I was going to be accepted, if everything was going to be okay. Were you going to judge me? Were you going to, reject me? So with step two, now all of a sudden, I'm hearing other people get honest. I'm hearing their stories. I'm hearing them lay out the fact that, hey, when I went home, I told my wife one thing, but I was really feeling a different way. And then I opened up to her and I said, hey, that wasn't okay. And then they were talking about how they would go to the store and, they would give the cashier $10 and the cashier would give them change for $20. And they said, hey, no, you gave me too much change back. And I'm like, wait, what did you say? So like that just blew my tree. I was like, wait a minute, you're just going to give them extra money? That's their fault. So it wasn't so much out of my own, desire to just jump in and be honest, as much as seeing other people get honest. And for me, that's where with step two, the spiritual principle is hope. So that's where I began to get some hope, like maybe I do have a shot here, because at the end of step one, there's this vacuum. Like, I know I don't want to go back to using, but how do I get real and let people know who I am? And how do I really do this? And what if I continue this journey and I'm not able to experience the same freedom that you guys have? And so what I'm realizing with this step work process, it's not simply about putting down the substance. This is about me transforming. And so if I don't transform, if I don't change the way I'm looking at me and life and how I interact with people, like I'm dead in the water. So now all of a sudden, I'm willing to get honest, because I'm like, listen, there's no way in the world I'm going to be able to do this if I don't get honest like them. Because I have been faking the funk for the longest time. That's an old saying anyway, reminds me of the little bus in the back there for Beth with the Brady Bunch. That's what I call it, the dating game colors, faking funk. So now I'm seeing that, I can open up I can be honest with people. And for me, it began to shape the way I saw me and the opportunity to engage with people in the rooms of recovery. Did you have another question?
Rob,
Yeah, get if anybody, ladies, get.
Yeah, I want to. Okay, so Rob, the steps are in order for a reason, right? I mean, we work the steps in order. We do 1 before we go to 2, before we go to 3, and we work through them. But the spiritual principles, they don't. Yes, they're supposed to coincide, and some of them do, but it takes a long time to really get honest with yourself. At least it did me. I'm still getting honest with myself, and still working on that one. And so the principles what's your thoughts about how they coincide and how you're supposed to work those and develop them?
So again, thank you, Beth, Bambi, for saying that, because it goes back to something that I said to Ed. Looking at other people and how they were able to transform, again, it's one of the reasons why I said this process is divinely inspired, because I wasn't so sure if I got really honest about me that I was going to be okay. And so one of my first sponsors down here, he said, Rob, you sneaky. I won't give you the descriptive words he used along with that. I'll let you fill in the blanks. But he said, you sneaky, because I would start telling him things after I already did it. So with this honesty, again, it's not only about putting down the substance, it's about changing my behaviors too. And now I'm really like, do I really want to do all of that? So when you talk about how they coincide, now it's about me being honest about my behaviors. What I didn't realize, it was my behaviors that led to me, going back out and using again. That's why I didn't stop. Not only even before the behaviors, once I start getting honest, now we're talking about taking a look at my beliefs, because I thought so irrationally and I didn't know it. So one of the reasons why I would not be honest, because I thought I was going to be deprived of having some fun. So again, the step work process and these spiritual principles helped me to see how distorted my thinking is. And that's what we're talking about. Step 2, we came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. I know for me, I don't know how sane I really was, because as far back as I can remember, like, I did crazy shit. I did crazy.
We're not allowed to curse on here.
So I'm talking about at 5 years old, I was already going to the store, stealing candy.
Oh my God. Wow.
At 5. So again, when I look at the spiritual principles and I take a look at how they coincide, and my thinking, my mind said, I'm a little kid, I want candy and I don't have enough money for it, so I'm just going to take it. And you guys began to teach me, that, hey, Rob, like, let's take a look at this. The way you're seeing this is so distorted. But I didn't realize that. And, so oftentimes they say we came to, and we came to believe. And so it was initially, me just coming to the rooms and really looking at people, because again, where I got high and where I moved, you were studying everybody. How about this? Really getting honest. The way I saw certain activity in my family of origin, I really had to study. Is it safe to say this or do this today? Because this person may not be in their right frame of mind. So I might need to be quiet today, or I may need to, be extra nice so that, I don't get in trouble. So again, you're talking about me coming into step 2 with this jaded sense of connecting with people. So this idea of being restored to sanity was foreign to me, because I was like, I was never really sane in the first place, Yeah.
But when we have that little glimpse of honesty, so honesty for me, Rob, and Bambi, that was a great question. But I can see how the principles do coincide with each other, with the steps. But But for me, the only thing I was honest about at the beginning, at step one, was that I drank too much. I didn't want to tell you anything else. So that was that glimmer of hope that I had, right? And I was willing to stop drinking, right? I was willing to stop drugging. I was willing to stop doing all that stuff. And then there was a little glimmer of hope that, the step two, came to believe power greater than myself, ourselves can restore us to sanity. What, like, I don't have to do this myself, right? I mean, I can have somebody that I can rely on 24/7 that's going to give me this little bit of hope, because I talked a little bit honest, right? And then as I think, as we go through that and understanding who my power, my higher power was, and then kind of understanding who I was, like you said, Rob, I was crazy, but this gave me hope that there might be some sanity, right? So the honesty in step one gets a little bit more, okay, well, I don't want to lie anymore. I don't want to blah, blah, blah anymore. And then the hope keeps going up. So it's like opening up a window. The sunshine keeps coming in. I'll open up a little bit more, I'll be a little bit more honest. And then you after being so honest, you might need suntan lotion so you don't get burnt, I wouldn't go that far, but I can see how that coincides with at least step one and two. Beth, did you have a question for Rob?
I'm just still digesting all of this, because there's a deep spiritual significance to what you're sharing, right? There's a deep spiritual significance to the levels of honesty. And kind of what to Bambi was saying, through the years of being sober, the level of honesty that you're able to achieve kind of coincides with your experience of the previous level of, coming to believe that God's going to bring me to sanity, right? Because I was not sane ever. Can you talk a little bit about the levels of honesty, right? As we start to progress in recovery and we start to make choices that create a new reality, that deep, you know what I mean? I'm at the point now where I'm looking at deep spiritual questions that I have to be honest with myself about, right? It's because it kind of goes to the core of the choice of life that I want to create for myself. So it's on that deeper level, can you kind of dive into that, how that honesty has to creep deeper into our core so that we can get to the next level?
So you guys are creating such a powerful discussion here. I can't even begin to tell you, because that's connected to what Bambi was saying. This is an ongoing process. And so one of the things that I realized is that I don't have to force the issue. What I'm really being asked to do, I didn't talk about it, with the first step with honesty, but from the very beginning, and you'll see this spiritual principle throughout, and that's surrender. I'm literally being asked to surrender along the journey. However, if I'm afraid that things won't manifest the way I'd like to see them, then my willingness to surrender is not going to match that. And conversely, I'm not going to be honest, but when I begin to trust the people that are connected with me, that they're being honest and they're being transparent, suddenly that gives me permission to be transparent. So for me, with step two, they reference a God, but they're not necessarily saying God. And so what I made the mistake of doing coming into step two, I know all about God. I don't need to do step two. What I really missed was this step was asking me, hey, Rob, can you just connect with another man and just let him know that you're a friend? Can you just connect with another man, not one man, and let him know you don't know what the hell you're doing or how to do it? So when we talk about that, another form of dishonesty is being a hypocrite. So I would tell you guys what it's supposed to be like, but over here, I'm doing something else. So that's where, the steps coincide. So later on in the steps, we talk about step 5, integrity, so that's where that comes in. So that's introducing another level of honesty. And if you actually look at the steps, some old timers say steps 1, 2, and 3, honesty, open-mindedness, and willingness. Steps 4, 5, and 6, honesty, open-mindedness, and willingness, and so forth, and go right on.
Yeah.
So each of them are honesty, open-mindedness, and willingness. So when you talk about how do they connect and how do I get to that deeper level, and that's why I say it's divinely inspired. So as I open my heart to the process, going down through the steps, it's already thread into the way this is laid out. So I don't have to force it. I don't have to worry about, am I missing it if I miss it in step 2? No, just be willing in step 3. To get honest in step 4 about what's really going on, and stay open in step 5, and then get honest again in step 6, but we'll talk about that, in later quarters. But again, so step 2 is also asking me to remain open-minded. Yes, the spiritual principle is hope, but it's asking me, hey, Rob, consider doing it another way, because the way you were doing it was hurting you. So Rob, the way you have it may not really be the way it is. But I'm so addicted to substances, but I'm addicted to my way of thinking. So what do you mean I'm not doing it right? And I could be so addicted to my way that if you're doing it a different way, I poo-poo on you.
I see that all the time.
What you're talking about.
I've been doing this way my whole life. Well, why should I change now?
Right. So I want to be clear that in the beginning with step 2, the insanity that the founders are originally and initially talking about, it's insane to think I can do one of any substance and be okay. So that's the first insanity that I would convince myself, oh, maybe I can just have one glass of wine. All roads lead home for this addict, and next thing you know, I'm off the rails again. So now, as you guys, suggested, as I continue to peel back the layer, I get to take a look at, it's also insane to think that this family member is going to act the way I want them to. They are how they are. And it's not up to me, because now I'm working spiritual principles and I'm working a program of recovery to impose my will on them, because I want them to see the light. So that's also insane, and I'm causing harm, but that, again, that's later on in the steps, so when we talk about this level of honesty increasing, it's directly proportionate to how open I am in step 2 to really looking at the levels of insanity that showed up with my using. I'm going to put this money away, and I'm only going to drink and get high with this much.
That's it.
Great plan.
Rob, I want to come back to a point that you just made, because step 2 is step 1 and 2. They don't talk about God until step 3. So I like what you said, a power greater than myself, a power greater than ourself, another man in the room, another person in the room, because at this point in step 2 and step 1, my God brought me here. My God did this to me. I can't tell you how many times I heard that, right? My God is, my God wouldn't do that to me. So now I get this distorted thought about God. I can put down the alcohol, step 1. I could be honest with myself and say okay, I do have a problem. The hope is, you want me to believe in a guy who's punishing me right now, right? The hope, and that's a little far-fetched. I don't know, for me at the beginning it was. Now, if you bring it in a little bit, and let's hope, let's put hope into another human being, another man, another woman, or just the room itself, right? You don't have to take that huge leap. Like our question of the week was, do you believe in heaven? That's a tough question to answer, right? Especially if you're not honest with yourself, because you could just say yes or no. None of us just said yes or no on here to that question of the week. We explained what our theory or what our thought or why we believe in heaven. Again, we don't know what's out there. We have no idea. but we had an answer. Not only did we just answer yes or no, we had an answer and an explanation what we thought heaven was. And that to me gives me hope that I can do better here on earth, that I can be a better human being. But the minute I walked into this program, I didn't think I was shit. I thought I was a piece of garbage when I walked into this program. And you want me to have hope? What the fuck are you talking about? Really? I don't have hope for shit. I can tell you that I might be an alcoholic, but there's no hope for me. So I like what you said. Let's just take it simple. Let's just believe in another man. Here's experience, strength, and hope. Another woman, her experience, strength, and hope. Can you talk a little bit about on that? I know we went past that, but I think that's
this
great.
Is good. I mean, it's all connected because again, what's powerful for me is that we could literally come into this process and call ourselves a piece of crap. I can put myself down, but yet I don't want to believe that you're telling me something is going to help me. Again, because of the way I think. And the way I have it has to be the way it is. That's why we talk about when we come into the rooms, sharing our experience, strength, and hope. Hey, I was where you were. And as a direct result of staying open-minded, which is another spiritual principle connected to step 2, now I'm beginning to see things differently. Now I'm beginning to believe like maybe I do have a shot at this. So for me, when, I take a look at listening to another man or another woman, hey, how did you do that? How did you come from looking at yourself one way, looking at life this way to where you are now? So for me, that's why I'm convinced again, and you'll hear me say this over and over again. We're talking about since 1935, this program has, blown up around the world.
Oh, yeah.
It's divinely inspired, so I get to look at the evidence. Now, the doubters out there would say, oh, 12-step program, show me the data, how many people are successful. And to them, I would say, let there not be a 12-step program tomorrow and see what happens.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Oh, that's a great response.
Yeah.
So while I may not necessarily be able to give you the kind of data that you're looking for, what I do know is there's into the millions now whose lives are saved and radically transformed as a direct result of doing this process. Yep. So you're not going to hear me say this is the only way, but buddy, it's been tested and proven.
Well, experience, strength, and hope. That's it right there.
And that's why it's about attraction, not promotion. Yes. So I'm not here to convince my family member because my dad was a preacher. And so he said, all you need is one step to Jesus. That's it. I was like, I know, Dad, but it's not working.
Yeah. And you know what? I've seen people, take Jesus and God on as the all being. And there's nothing wrong with that, right? There's completely nothing wrong with it, but they forgot about AA, right? So when I sit at a meal, I just don't eat steak all the time, every meal, right? I have a little bit of everything. I have a little bit of everything on my plate. God is a big part of my life. AA is a big part of my life. My family's a big part of my life. Everything's, I have to make it a complete meal, not just one thing. And I've seen that happen, like you said, your dad said, Jesus will fix everything. And that's okay. That's his belief. There's nothing wrong with that. But I know me as an addict and alcoholic, if I believed in that, somehow Jesus would tell me to fucking drink again. I'll be honest with you. That's what I would manipulate. Like you said at the beginning, manipulation. Right. We were master manipulators. You said it in, about where was it? Step 1. Did we talk about their step? Yeah. Step 1.
Yes. A form of dishonesty.
Yeah. A form of dishonesty. Exactly. So now the step 2 came to believe power greater than ourselves, restored us as sanity. I got a question for you, Rob, from step 1 to step 2. Okay. You're, a power greater than myself. A guy, a room, a cup, a doorknob, whatever you want to believe in. How come, or how long does it take, or have you seen people not get to step 3 because they mention God, right? As we understood him. It still says God, but I like how they put as we understood him, right? Mm-hmm. I think that's key there for us to move into the next step. But I've seen people get stuck on God and say, well, again, like, my God wouldn't take me where I'm at. So I get step 1 and 2, but the step 3, made a decision, turn our lives, our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood him. Do you ever see people getting stuck just at step 1 and 2 because they can't grasp the God thing?
So the short answer is yes.
Mm-hmm.
And what I also realize is that recovery is a process. It's not an event. And my addicted thinking wants me to know it all right now. And sometimes, even if I'm working with someone else, you need to get this God thing. If you don't get this God thing, you're going to be screwed. How about let's focus on the spiritual principles and allow them to figure out what's working for them. So for me, it does happen because unfortunately, so many of us come here having had some really horrible experiences with religion. And that's how we see God. And that's why, again, step 3 talks about 2 characteristics, really 3, but 2 main characteristics, loving and caring. The third, it can't be you. My best thinking got me here.
That's right.
So let that not be your higher power.
Yeah.
So again, as we're, engaging with someone that's struggling with that belief, it's important to allow them their process. We all have a right to our process. And so in the beginning, it may be another person, and that's why I said, we came to believe what's going to work for me. And that's where in step 3, it talks about, that. So it's important for me to be gentle, not only with myself, but with other people. That has, to me, it's one of the greatest things that has taken place in recovery. There's a level of gentleness that's here now that wasn't here when I first came around.
Agree.
There was much more. What's interesting is many of us came in jaded because of a very dogmatic religious experience. And then we come into the rooms of recovery and they're dogmatic too. We're like, yikes, I don't want this either. You're giving me another version of that.
Yeah, exactly. But here's the thing, and I'm going to open this up to everybody. I think faith is a lot easier to swallow than God, right? Especially when you're new in the rooms and you're trying to believe in something. So I like the spiritual principle of faith on step 3. That is faith, correct? Right?
Yes.
I want to make sure but I can have faith in something, right? Something better than what I, like you said, Rob, like my best thinking got me here. So I'm going to have faith in something. Might not be God, right? But it's on the road to being God, that faith. Right? And we don't have to tell the newcomers that, right? Shh, don't tell anybody. Don't tell newcomers and you guys tune this out. But it could be on the road to faith. Do you guys have any thoughts on that? I'm going to open it up to everybody, Rob and the ladies.
Ladies.
So I experienced this as, the way that I didn't have an issue with God when I got sober because I didn't know God. God just wasn't in my life. But what my sponsor told me was that you don't have to believe. All you need for a beginning is to believe that I believe. Right. And we've been kind of skirting this the entire conversation, but everybody has mentioned it is that we need to have blind faith when we start because we don't have an experience. But what we do have is seeing the experience of others. Right. So it's where the fellowship comes in, right? When we talk about a program, a 12-step program, we're talking about our personal experience with the steps. But where the fellowship is so integral is that even to this day, I lean on what I see in the experience of others. I lean on what I see, the shift and change when I see others take these actions. It gives me what I need as a frail human to say, maybe I can do that too, right? I mean, it's like Amazing Grace. Like you look at the song Amazing Grace and it just brings forth that personal experience, right? So when we can't have that blind faith because we are blocked by our own human, right? We're bound by our own shackles. we lean on, like, Rob, like this whole talk has given me shivers on multiple times, because you're just bringing to light things that I've been told a million times in a new way. That's gonna, you know what I mean? Like, and we hear it all the time. You can't rest on your laurels. You can't stay sober on past experiences. We need to consistently have a current experience, which brings us to our knees again, right? I'm on my knees again saying, here's this whole new level, right? I haven't been honest with myself in this way, or I haven't turned my will over in this way, but here's this guy, Rob, who comes onto a podcast and he's blowing my freaking mind. Like,
I know.
Thanks a lot, Rob.
Well said. Well said. And you're right. We were skirting that whole issue, but we have to come on here in blind faith, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we have to, because that way didn't work, right? My way didn't work. But I don't know, there's 40 people in this room and they're all smiling and I'm the only one that's miserable, right? So I'm going to just give it a try. I'm going to, I'm not going to even just do it. Like I always say, just do it. I'm going to try it and see what happens, because this guy, Rob, seems like he knows what he's talking about. He's smiling, right? And then he's talking at it, all this other stuff, where he was stealing at 5 years old, blah, blah, blah. How can you be happy? How can you be happy? Faith. I believe it's faith, right? If I can't get past the faith part of things, I can't believe in anything else. So I love what you said, blind faith. I have to go sometimes still up into, I have to come into things blind faith. I have to trust Rob. When he came on here, he was going to talk about what we asked him to talk about, right? Blind faith, right? I didn't have to say, Rob, this is how you have to do it, blah, blah, blah. And, that's how I guess that's how I work my program. Bambi, did you have any words on the faith part of, as far as that goes?
Well, I mean, I agree with Beth. This has been so enlightening and like spiritually awakening, this whole podcast. But, when I clung to that hope and that faith at first, because I just knew I couldn't stay the way I was. And I wanted it so deeply. And I had to just cling to the fact that it's happened for all of you. It's going to happen to me. I wanted it so
100%.
bad to happen for me. I wanted so much to be a better person and to grow. So, and I'm growing today because I've learned a lot as well. I can't wait for next quarter already.
I know.
So I want to quickly lean into a couple things.
Sure.
Beth said it and then you echoed it. She said, I feel like we've been skirting around this faith thing. Again, it's why I believe the program is divinely inspired. It wasn't meant to bum rush the newcomer. You gotta believe. It really was about sharing our experience, strength, and hope. So it was a gentle way of presenting this new way of living. And so that's how this even discussion today has morphed into, now let's lean into it. And that's what the recovery process is asking us to do. Because if you're telling me this is what I need to do over here, check this out. Because I'm thinking I'm doing something different now that I'm doing it here in recovery. This addict right here went to a cop spot at 3:00 in the morning, gave somebody my money, they left and then came back. Now I'm going home and I'm expecting to get that hit that I just paid for. If that ain't blind faith, I don't know what is. So we've been exercising.
That is true. You're right.
For a long time, and all of a sudden we get in here. I don't know about blind faith, but because of the way our thinking is, our predecessors knew, and I believe the God of our understanding divinely said, "Let me introduce this to you guys, in a way that you can hear it." For me, man. Where people get frustrated, what God would bring me here? Man, thank God you brought me here to a group of people that really get me. Now, let me be real clear. Not that they didn't in my place of worship, but man, I could say shit here. Nobody look at me like I'm crazy. Wow, okay. Not that they don't do it there too, but there's the new freedom here. And that's what this process is offering me. I get to be free to really be me. So going back to something you said earlier, Bambi, now I'm realizing I can be more honest. Okay. So now faith is being developed over time. And so now when I get to step 3, I'm taking a look at, this decision that I'm making, but I've already been making it from the day I stepped in and continue to keep coming. I was making that decision. All this process is asking me to do is to more formally look at, are you willing to keep going? Do you like how you're feeling? Do you like how your life is changing? Okay, trust that there's more. There's more. And me being the great addict that I am, I want more. Give me
more of this stuff.
More,
exactly.
More is better.
More is better.
More is better, So the key piece for me is with this step 3 is what it really challenges and confronts is my need for control.
Yeah.
I want to do it on my terms. Okay, I'll do this and I'll do this, but leave this area alone. Okay. Don't tell me how to spend my money. Don't tell me who I can date. Don't tell me where I can live. And so now all of a sudden I'm getting some suggestions say, hey, are you willing to consider this? Because let's go back to step 2. You see the insanity of doing that. You haven't drank, you haven't gotten high in a little while now by the time you get to step 3. So trust me, you're going to set yourself up. So can we consider doing it another way? And so when we talk about making this decision to turn our will, our thinking, and our life, our behavior over to the loving care of this God. If Bambi, says, Matt and I aren't able to take my pugs, she's going to put it in the care of someone she trusts. And so that's all we're being asked to do. And so I think Beth said, my sponsor said, believe that I believe. And so, she said, okay, based on what she's been telling me up to this point, I know she cares. She has my best interests at heart. And so that's all step 3 is asking me to do. Be willing to take some action. This isn't some hocus pocus, but because some of the naysayers will say, well, God, you think God's going to do everything for you? Well, no, but no.
He directs us.
I want him to. However, there is an ownership piece on me. And here's where the dance comes in, because while I am required to do some action, God's grace is really lifting it all up. And so I'm not really doing the heavy lifting. It seems like it is. And that's where the control comes back because I'm thinking, well, what if I don't have fun? And what if life isn't as good as you tell me it's going to be? Guess what? Newsflash, life is life. Simply because I get into recovery doesn't mean that, some unfortunate circumstances, aren't going to happen.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And so sometimes we have this jaded perception of, well, if I'm turning all of this over, what is God going to do? Am I going to be punished? No, this is life.
Well, here's the thing too, Rob. When I came in, I expected something back from this program, right? And it wasn't freedom or it wasn't sobriety. I'm like, well, what am I getting? Am I getting a wife out of this? Am I get that hot chick that sits up in front all the time? And once I started stopping that, right, that's when everything kicked in because here, step 3, you know what, Rob, you point out, I think the most important part of step 3, care. Like, I mean, what more can you ask for? Is that I am being cared for by a higher power and you guys. Like step 1 and 2, at step 2, you guys are caring for me. But step 3, I got everybody caring for me now, right? Even a higher power, a God, like a God that's going to care for me now. And like, I love what the analogy said, I can't take care of my pug, so I'm going to trust somebody that can take care of them. And who more can you trust than God? Who more? I mean, seriously. And I don't mean with your pugs, but I mean in this case, as far as care of, of care of God and his understanding. And the other thing, I'm going to wrap it up here real quick. I'll give you the last word here, Rob, but I liked how you said, we got some freedom here. I can express who I am today because the drugs and alcohol were holding me back. They weren't letting me be who I wanted to be. They weren't letting me maybe to believe in a God, right? Maybe it wasn't cool to believe in a God. Maybe it wasn't cool to, hug a man or hug a woman. Maybe it wasn't cool to admit I had a drinking problem. When I came in here, there was honesty, there was hope, and there was faith, and it gave me freedom. Those 3 steps gave me freedom. I can be honest, open, and willing, just like you said. Step 1, 2, and 3, 4, 5, and 6, 6, 7, 8. I can do that today, and it's just a breath of fresh air. It was just it let me breathe, just so I can wrap my head around all this stuff. Because then when we get into 4, 5, 6, there was a lot of work to do there. This let me breathe, so I can kind of wrap my head around more to come, like all the good things to come, right? All the good things to come. Because don't forget, when I walked in this door, I was a piece of shit. I don't deserve anything good. Fuck yeah, I do. Right? As long as I work hard and put my program together. So Rob, thank you for that. And if you would want to kind of sum up step 1, 2, and 3, or however you see, the spiritual principles, or however you want to end the show for us.
Yeah. So
no pressure, Rob.
No pressure.
Yeah. Trust me, because like I said in the beginning, everything was laid out. Nothing that I say is original. And one of the best and easiest ways to sum it up is I can, he can, I think I'll let him. So I get to stay committed to practicing. This wasn't about me walking on water tomorrow simply because I did steps 1, 2, and 3. It's a design for me living so that I can get free from the thinking that causes me to get in the jackpot only all the time. And so what I'll leave you with is this: if we don't go within, we will go without.
Love that.
Love that.
Wow. That's pretty powerful. Wow. This has been a good show. Ladies, anything to add to that before we close?
Absolutely not. Nailed it.
I don't even know what to say, but Rob, thank you very much. We appreciate it. Rob does host I forgot to say, Rob does host our Celebrate Friends and Recovery meetings on Friday nights. Amazing meeting. And if you guys can check him out, you'll get more of his wisdom on the meetings on Friday nights at 7 Eastern time. Rob, thank you so much for the insight, the learning. I always say, if I'm not the smartest person in the room, I better either get out or open my ears. And you opened my ears today, man, really, really wide. And, life is a little different today because you're in my life. So thank you, Rob.
I can say that too. My life is a lot different because Rob was in my life.
Absolutely. So,
well, thanks for bringing him into my life, y'all.
Well, guys,
you may not have started off bubbly, but you're sure bubbly now.
It's called caffeine.
There you go. Oh, before we close, before I do, I hold that cup up. Look, her cup matches her background. Put it in front of you. There you go. Right? Doesn't it match your background?
It does.
It's got all the colors.
Accidentally coordinating.
Exactly. So, Rob, thank you so much, ladies. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it. And remember, stay sober, everybody.
This concludes this episode of Friends in Recovery, the Addiction Recovery Podcast. Follow us on Facebook for past shows and updates, and enjoy free access to twice daily support meetings. Friends in Recovery, the Addiction Recovery Podcast, is available on Facebook, Podbean, iTunes, and YouTube 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.